LE. He is the Red Protoss player represented by Ting from North America. Alex Sunderhaft. It's Neeb.
And his opponent in the bottom left-hand side, in the blue, representing South Korea and Alpha X Esports. He is our Zerg player, RagnaroK.
Alpha X.
Now, Grant, as you said, both players going to see this match as winnable. I think this is going to be a very tight match between the two of them. Really hope that both of them are showing their A game here for this first series. But as you said earlier, let's take a quick moment and talk about the format of the tournament and sort of where we stand today in the competition.
Yeah, definitely. So we are now in Group D, the final 6-man group of the group stages. We've gone through A, B, C, and D, and down to just 6 players left to make it into the round of 12 or round of 8. So this is going to be very, very difficult for all of these players. Of course, this is their last chance. The players need to go through in first, second, or third in this 6-man group in order to continue in this tournament. And Neeb is going to be a little bit naughty in his aims to do that, Creighton.
Yeah, I'd love to talk more about the groups, but we've obviously got some stuff happening here on stream already. Very often, CVP, you're just like, well, it's a hatch gas pool. Well, it looks normal. No, not at all. Forge here for Neeb before his gateway, which means a cannon rush on this natural, this second base at the 3rd location, and that's going to force a drone pull from RagnaroK. But Grant, look at this. Only a handful of drones, or less than a handful of drones here from RagnaroK. I imagine we're going to see a cancel on this 3rd base, and then a rebuild at the natural.
Yeah, we can already see that the 3rd has gone down at the natural, actually at a pretty healthy time before the queen started up here.
Wow.
He's going to let this complete. This is interesting. We do see 4 lings and a queen on the way. The queen will not be able to waddle over in time. My question is, and I'm not entirely certain because I don't cannon rush the 3rd on this map when I do cannon rush every other game, is that first cannon in range of the hatchery? I believe it may. Yes, it is. Okay, that's really, really nice. This is good prep here from Neeb. He forced the natural to go down on the 3rd, and now he's going to be able to punish this 3rd massively. Needs to defend at home as the lings are going to make his way across the map. But a great start here for Neeb. Slows his tech down slightly, but if he gets the kill here, he's going to be feeling pretty darn good about his chances going forward. And it's looking like that's going to be the case.
Absolutely. Looks like this queen might be able to sneak out here, but even with the DPS of the queen and these lings, not enough to tear down these photon cannons. So a free kill on what was the natural base of RagnaroK is really going to throw a spanner in the works of whatever build he had planned, Grant. And we genuinely don't know what that build was going to be. It looked very standard so far. You know, he's pulled the drones out of gas. He's got that speed on the way. But now we're going to see that base going down, and that's a really, really nice play by Neeb. He's prepped for this map and for this opponent exceptionally well.
Yeah, is this our first cannon rush in Protoss versus Zerg, Creighton? We did have Zest cannon rush a Terran player of all things, but I think it's our only non-mirror cannon rush, right?
Yes, it is.
Beautiful. I love to see it as a cannon.
Well, our only PvC mirror cannon rush.
Yeah, did we have a PvP cannon rush?
No.
Yeah, so it's our only... Yeah. I said non-mirror. That was the wrong word. Our only non-PVT. Stargate coming up here for Neeb behind this. And this is nice because he knows his opponent is probably going to cut some corners. Has this been seen here by RagnaroK?
No.
It's just out of range, right? Yeah, very just out of range. Very just. Bad wording there. But if that Overlord were to dash in, and it's very unlikely with a cannon in place there, it would be able to see that in just like one small step. So far, though, I really like what Neeb's done. This shows a lot of good preparation here from Neeb. He's getting his 3rd Nexus as well at 4 minutes. Very well timed, considering he did go for that Forge first opening. His Warp Gate a bit later. Void Ray coming out here from Neeb. Have to see if he's going to go mass Void Ray. I think Neeb is certainly the type to do it, Creighton.
Quick correction, Grant. This was not a Forge first. This was actually a Nexus first into Forge. Which is a pretty greedy play to begin with. If you get 12 pooled, that's basically just the end of the game for you. So a really, really greedy play by Neeb. This is very surprising. A lot of lings out from RagnaroK, though. And of course, going for the Forge first means that, Grant, you don't have that much on the ground. Likely could see a cancel on this 3rd base, as 2 Adepts are not going to be enough to cut the mustard here with this many lings on the field. Nice play by RagnaroK.
Yeah, the Void Ray as well, not going to be enough here. Neeb will be forced to cancel. It's not the end of the world. He did go for it quite early. And now with the Void Ray out, he should be able to secure that. RagnaroK behind this is in full drone mode. He has 9 in the production tab. He's getting a Spore as well. Neeb has certainly had the better of the early game, I'd say. Roach Warrior as well. Okay. wants to make sure he is going to be pretty safe here against any pressure. These Lings continuing to dart around, see what they can find. But at this point, okay, we are seeing more and more Void Rays coming out here after that Oracle. Neeb is going to commit to some Stargate-based play. The Oracle, of course, has been scouted. Is there a spore on the third base? I did see one going up, but I'm not sure if it was here. It wasn't. 3 Queens, though, will be able to push us back. A couple of drones go down. Neeb, as long as he keeps this Oracle alive, can be very... he can be happy with how this game is going, for sure.
Yeah, I'm a bit concerned right now about the timing and the counter pressure of RagnaroK's Roach push, if and when it does happen. As we said, Neeb still only on only on 2 gateways, the 3rd, 4th, and 5th finishing up now. But still just a couple gateways down right now. That means he's not going to have as many warp-in cycles available to him. If there were some Roach pressure from RagnaroK, Neeb could be in some trouble. But granted, it doesn't look like any Roach pressure is materializing right now. Playing the game of drones, RagnaroK has 11 in the production tab a moment ago. That is a significant number of drones to commit to, which is very good for RagnaroK, who does need to catch up economically here if he wants to compete. Nice snipe on the Observer, or the Oracle as well.
Yeah, Liquid Rat sends his regards to the opening of this game of RagnaroK just droning up like crazy. But Neeb is still at a very healthy work account himself, bringing on 60. He's continuing to triple produce him. He's getting a lot of gateways. He's getting +1, and he's getting Zealot Charge. And we may see a bit of a timing here. Spire and Hydralisk, then. That's so greedy from RagnaroK. If Neeb sees all of this tech going down at the same time, he may well just produce a whole bunch of Charge Zealots, a couple of Archons, go with his Void Rays before the units can come out en masse here. This is definitely RagnaroK kind of throwing a little bit of a Hail Mary, because, I mean, this is just so much tech. It's so many upgrades. There's so much gas that's been invested. RagnaroK still has a bit of a gas bank, so maybe able to make a couple of those mutts in the air pretty soon. We do see a surround coming in here. The force field will come down, and that does save the sentry for now, but it looks like all these ground units will be sniped. There's a lot of Lings. I like this from RagnaroK, though. He is making sure pressure isn't on his side of the map whilst he is greedy with his tech.
Yeah, and he's expanding behind this, which is also very nice. 12 Hydras on the way for RagnaroK. I love to see this pressure coming out from our Zerg player. And again, I think if it would have hit a little bit earlier, if he would have been a bit more aggressive earlier on, he would have had a really, really good chance of just surprising Neeb and punishing his greedy play. As it is, Neeb has the Warp Prism out. He has a healthy number of gateways up, currently sitting at 8, 9, 10 gateways. And he's going to be able to warp in plenty of units now with his 3rd base up for about a minute and a half now. So fingers crossed Neeb can make this a really good push, Grant. We're going to have to see how this plays out as both armies butt heads.
Yeah, Neeb didn't warp in too much, actually. He had some money, but he got a couple of Archons. The Archons are, of course, going to be massive here. The Void Rays in the air are just about enough alongside Archons to take down these Queens. And with Zealots charging in from the flank here, taking down the Hydralisk, a lot of Queens are going to fall. Drones going to be forced off the line. There's Archons in the back, and if they can get some surface area, these drones are going to melt. And there we go. We see that number rising, rising, rising. Neeb has that supply lead, warping in more and more Zealots. This is looking so good for Alex Sunderhoff.
Yeah, RagnaroK maybe caught a little bit by surprise by Neeb's aggression here, gunning up for a big Hydra push, but not enough, and Neeb going to be able to take game number 1 with a very well-timed aggression, Grant. Despite losing his Warp Prism in that first fight, he pressed forward, he kept his foot on the gas, and he made something happen. That was a really, really interesting build from Neeb, and I can't wait to give this game another watch, because that Nexus into Forge, into Cannon Rush on the 3rd base, surprisingly strong, Grant. Surprisingly strong.
Yeah, that's Neeb doing his research. He's gone back, he's watched those RagnaroK games through that last chance qualifier, through the round of 36, as it was known. He's seen that RagnaroK is going for hatch gas pool, and he's gone, okay, if I can force the hatch into an unnecessary into the wrong location over at the 3rd, it is going to be way, way, way more vulnerable for the Cannon Rush.
Yeah. Absolutely. I'd be amazed to see a second Cannon Rush here this game. You know, sort of Cannon Rush seems to be like sort of a once in a best of 3 kind of a deal. But not off the table. Neeb is a player who likes to play aggressive. Neeb is a player who likes to shake things up. He's from the North America server, Grant, and that means one thing and one thing only. It's clown time all the time.
Yeah, definitely. The circus has come out early today. And we will see if he continues with that. I do apologize, guys. Apparently I said best of 9. I have no idea how that happened, because the 3 and the 9 key are so far away.
You would have had to have hit Control-Shift-9 at some point, which seems like an awkward combination of buttons to punch.
No idea how I could have possibly done that. But I'm impressed with myself, if nothing else. No, it is a best of 3. It just follows the format. We are, of course, producing everything ourselves here from lovely Casa del Grant's bedroom. So there are a couple of mistakes, but we're just getting started. Now, Creighton, map 2. I sat there for the veto process, and I saw the vetoes happening. I was like, hello? Is it happening? And it happened.
Are we still on NA, Grant?
Oh, yes.
Oh, I saw somebody say go Asia, so I'm on the wrong...
The referee is refereeing 2 series at the same time. So
wow, if you could invite me to the game, that'd be great. Thank you.
I got you.
So we should probably talk, like we said, about format earlier. We're in Group D today, the final stage of the group stages. We finished Group A, B, and C, and we have 9 players who have already advanced group. A couple surprises, but really at the end of the day, after those fantastic 3 previous groups, I wouldn't say there have been any massive, major upsets, maybe outside of Group C with Trap. The other 9 players that have qualified, though, pretty standard stuff. In first place in the group, so guaranteeing themselves a spot in the quarterfinals, are TY, Dark, and Zest. Okay. And the other 6 players who are going to be fighting in a round of 12 to move on to those semifinals, or those quarterfinals rather, are Maru, Clem, Cyril, Innovation, Rainer, and Hero Marine. So a good mix of foreign and domestic players, and we're really excited to see who comes out and adds their talent to Group D. So far, Neeb looking like a strong contender.
Yeah, this was a great first game. A couple of people in chat saying that maybe Neeb hasn't been playing so much. I find that hard to believe. Watching map 1, he looked very, very crisp. His macro was great. His micro was good in those final fights, using the Zealots to push away the Hydralists. But right now, we are going to move into map 2. It is Submarine Creighton Olsen, and this is always a map where we're in for some delight, especially in PvZ. It is our first non-mirror submarine, and let's get ready to introduce our first player. In the bottom right of Submarine, LE representing Ting. He is the Red Protoss player from North America. Up 1-0, it's Neeb. Neeb backwards is Bean, and that makes me laugh.
And in the top left-hand side in the blue, representing South Korea and Alpha X, it's our Zerg player, RagnaroK, which spelled backwards or pronounced backwards is
Korangar. Yeah, I like that too, to be honest.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, Korangar. I like that. That's the hero of like a Viking novel somewhere.
100%.
And then brave Korangar, or what is it? Korangar. That's it.
Korangar.
Brave
so
Korangar tamed the muskox and rode it into battle. Like, that's awesome. So far, I'm a little surprised, Grant. It's a gateway first from Neeb on the low ground.
Yeah.
I definitely thought with as early as that probe went out, I was like, oh man, he's got a chance. But obviously, just there to block the natural and force Rag into 3rd position. So Neeb gonna go for a gateway expand, which is a little bit more conservative, which is fine. On a map like Submarine, you gotta be very terrified about a potential 12 pool. It's obviously not a 12 pool, but you've gotta be terrified about it all the time. The rush distance giving the Zerg player just a couple extra seconds to get through your wall and surround that pylon and end the game really quickly.
Yeah, Neeb, though, he knows exactly what's going on here. He knows the way that RagnaroK is playing. RagnaroK picked this map 2nd, with Jagannatha being our 3rd map, and I was very much expecting this to be the map 3. So when this came out, I kind of, squealed in joy a little bit, because we don't get to see much Submarine. The mainstream was saying that this is, a map pool with however many maps there are, minus Submarine, because you just never see it. We do get to see it a little. Adept first here from Neeblet. He is going to be sending that straight across here. Going to be annoying knowing that the Queens have a further distance to travel. And you can also catch some drones that are trying to transfer. Very standard so far. Twilight Council, little less standard though.
Yeah, I like the Twilight Council opener here. We've talked a lot, Grant, about how Protoss players have lots of options these days. It's not just Stargate as the standard opener, into Void Rays as the standard follow-up, into Oracle as the standard follow-up, into 2nd Void Ray. Every Protoss does that every game all the time. Absolutely not, Grant. Protoss players have lots and lots of options. That's one reason we see Zerg players increasing their scouting a little bit as we see RagnaroK moving his Overlord in to double check what's going on. He has no real information right now, just seeing that 2nd gateway go down. So he needs to move this Overlord in soon to see that he's up against a Twilight Council, so he knows to expect those glaive to depths quite soon.
Yeah, Stalker coming out here from Neeb is a nice bait and switch here. The Stalker coming sort of hints that it's something a little more standard like Stargate, and it pushes away that Overlord. So the Overlord is not going to be able to get that scout. Just seeing 2 Adepts so far as well. I imagine our Zerg player is feeling pretty content that he's playing against standard play. And although Glaive Adepts isn't not standard, it's not standard. It's not as common as a Stargate opening here. And if this Twilight Council goes completely unscouted and we see these extra gateways go up as well, this is going to be very difficult for RagnaroK to deal with if he doesn't get a quicker Roach Warren, a lot of queens, and prepare by pre-splitting his units.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the game plan right now for RagnaroK. Generally speaking, you want to get that Roach Warren up nice and early. Have 4, 5, 6, 10 roaches at least on the make as the Adepts are heading across the map so you can be prepared for them. Here it is, finally. RagnaroK has the Roach Warren down, and I've got to see if this glaive timing hits very hard. Now, there is no Warp Prism for Neeb. He's got no Robo at all, and he's only on 3 gates, Grant. So be a little surprised to see this attack hitting before the Warp Prism comes out, and the Robo's going to finish just in time, and these Lings are going to spot this push coming.
Yeah, the Lings right now are going to opt to counter-attack here. It could be difficult. There is no third down. There is also no battery, though. Surface area on the Stalker very limited. We're going to see a gateway go down behind him to keep him nice and safe. And now the Lings are really not in the right place. And Neeb is being an absolute genius here. He's going to split up all of his Adepts. The Adepts here with those orange glaives can trade against queens quite efficiently. We are seeing them shade up into the main for now. Going to see if that completes. I imagine it may well. Yes, it does. Lings coming in for surface area. They can't get a complete surround. And these Adepts going to start taking down workers and Lings. But it does look like RagnaroK may be on top of this. Neeb is going to start targeting down some drones here. But only 5 for this many Adepts. Isn't that great? Because there is no third down yet for Neeb behind this.
No, that's definitely not what Neeb was hoping for here. Very bad shade into the main base. You obviously want to crank back so you've got a little bit of surface area protected by the minerals and everything. Neeb sort of got jammed up against that Spore Crawler, and the Lings got decent surface area. Tried to shade away, couldn't quite make it work. That's a big win for RagnaroK, and that's going to slow down Neeb's tempo considerably this game. The good news for Neeb is he's not going for a Glaive Adept all in. We saw the Warp Prism come out, but it's not for anything besides just a little bit of pressure. And we do know that he's got this Robo Bay finishing up behind this. First Disruptor on the way, Grant. Looks like Disruptor drop is going to be the order of the day for Neeb. Classic NA move.
Yeah, very NA. The slightly concerning thing here for Neeb is that RagnaroK is making a whole bunch of roaches right now, and if he were to just move across the map, Neeb would have to get some great Disruptor shots, and if the Disruptor's not there, they can't fire across the map as long as their range may be. We are seeing these Lings continue to be a bit of a nuisance, and Neeb's third is later than he'd want it, but it is now down. We do see that, of course, Prism Speed, Gravitic Drive on the way, double Disruptor drops maybe. Yep. Gonna come out here. Neeb, if he can get some damage done here, will be in a great position, but I do feel like, actually, RagnaroK has no workers. He's going all in, Creighton.
Yeah, he stopped at 42 a while ago. A lot of Lings across the map, but he's got no Baneling Nest. He doesn't have that many roaches on the field, only 10 right now. And 1 or 2 Disruptor shots could end this man's whole career, Grant. Very surprising.
Yes, definitely. AlphaX's RagnaroK needs to be prepared for this. I'm not sure if he's aware of what's coming his way. He is sitting at home. This is a very scary push. The Disruptor shots need to hit. The Lings are not the threat here in terms of what the Disruptors are looking for. It is those Ravagers. The Disruptors, if they can hit the Ravagers, the Lings, oh my god, this is going to be very, very difficult, actually. That's not a good first shot here from Neeb. Neeb has been pushed back just with almost ease, just brushed aside here. And now RagnaroK is going to steam across the other side of the map. Neeb forced to make some Stalkers. He just moved out. He just F2'd it slightly. Super Battery coming in right now. But what does Neeb have? He needs to hit these Disruptors. He needs to deal with them. He needs to hit the Disruptor shots. He needs to get them onto the Ravagers. Couple going down. But he loses a Disruptor. Oh, no, he doesn't. Now he does. This is all but over here for Neeb. RagnaroK just too good. 2 on top of things. And it looks like we're going to map 3.
Colossus comes in, Colossus goes down. You can't explain that, Grant. Pops out of the Robo at a very inopportune time. And we're going to see a GG here and a game 3 in our first series. RagnaroK gets revenge on Neeb for playing so greedy. Neeb with that very uncomfortable Glaive Adept push at the beginning of the game. His timings just felt a little wonky to me, Grant.
Yeah, and I do think RagnaroK handled it extraordinarily well. He had just enough Lings, and it's a very tight balance. You know, if you make too many, then your drone count's going to be naff, and your Protoss player's going to out macro you. If you make too few, you die to the Adepts. But he had just enough. He just managed to get barely enough surface area to take a good trade, and Neeb tried to fight the Lings, and then he went for drones and didn't kill nowhere near enough. You definitely want way more than 10, probably closer to 15 to feel like that's an efficient push. And I'm impressed with RagnaroK in that map. He handles Submarine very, very well.
Yeah, a couple mistakes from Neeb, obviously, that Adept Shade at the very beginning, sort of pulling all of his tempo away from him. And then a very awkward transition, I think, that Disruptor drop just sort of scouted immediately. The Disruptor simply not doing anything. So unfortunately for Neeb, that's going to drop him down to a game 3, but a game 3 means that both players still alive here in Group D, Grant, just like Chell at the end of Portal 1. They're still alive. And according to Wikipedia, it looks like we only have one other result so far today, Grant. Stats and Parting, playing a little PvP. Stats, grabbing game number 1. Is that a surprise to you at all?
It depends what Parting does and if Stats sees it coming. Parting is very much akin to Zest in that if you survive, you're probably fine. I do feel like Parting's late game is maybe a little better than Zest can be, and Zest's early game maybe a little cleaner as well than Parting, and that's their differentials. But a very interesting series going on over on the C-Stream with Harstem and Lambo, I believe. Probably. Anyway, map 3, Jagannatha. We have our more standard map here, and our first player in the top right, representing Alpha X, one of the best, loveliest teams in StarCraft 2, the red Zerg, the blue Zerg player from South Korea. He is RagnaroK. Korangar. I'm gonna do this.
And his opponent on the bottom left-hand side here in the red, representing Ting Esports and the US of A. He is Neeb.
Oh shit, Cyril's in chat. Everyone be good.
All right, so Neeb going for Gateway on the low ground yet again. A very standard build this time around, which is nice to see. I feel like Neeb does a really nice job in the mid and the late game. He's a player who can play that way. For some reason, just trying to end these games very quickly with early aggression, which has worked out for him in game 1, but game 2 not going in his favor. So I wonder exactly how Neeb feels right now with the aggression working out for him once and then not the second time. So hopefully he can get something rocking and rolling this game. Grant, do you expect to see Neeb going for a similar glaive Adept push, or do you think it's good to show 3 different styles in 3 different games?
I think that's a very Neeb thing to do. I wouldn't be surprised to maybe see Void Rays again, something similar without the Cannon Rush this time. Maybe Phoenixes is something Neeb has played in the past as well. Double Stargate. He's got a variety of builds up his sleeve. And I'm interested to see where he goes with this. I think, oddly enough, the onus is on RagnaroK to deal with what Neeb does instead of to be the aggressor here. Neeb so far in game 1 and 2 has certainly shown his intentions, and his intentions to get at the other side of the map and try and F up RagnaroK's S. Lots and lots of queens, very Cyril-esque. Going up to sort of 7 would be nice. It's a good way to stay safe. 6-lings to start things off as well. Sometimes we just see the 4. 6 is definitely safe against any potential cannons and things like that. Proxies. And now we see as the Twilight Council finishes, what is Neeb's tech going to be? It is Stargate.
Yeah, that Cybercore finishing up is always the most exciting part of the opening stages of a Protoss game for me. I'm always like, oh, what's it going to be? What's it going to be? It's going to be a Stargate. All right. So now once it... This is great because Protoss have basically 3 options after their Cybercore finishes, right? Twilight Council, Robo, Stargate, and then their Stargate finishes, and they've got 3 options there. So it's either going to be Oracle, Phoenix, or Void Ray. But in PvZ, there's a really nice trick, Grant. You can see that Neeb already has this Stargate queued all the way to the middle of the map. Likely going to be some Void Ray play then, with the hopes that he can pick off some Overlords with that. If it's queued all the way across the map, that'll usually mean Oracle. And if it's queued just somewhere inside their map, generally that means inside their main base, that generally means Phoenix, because they're going to want to save up for 2 or 3. But we do see Neeb going for that Void Ray play, and this is going to be really nice.
Yeah, we saw Neeb go Void Ray, Oracle, Void Ray, in game 1, and I wouldn't be surprised to maybe see something like that again. Players definitely have their styles when it comes to Stargates and how they like to open. Going Void Ray into Oracle is nice. You can clear the Overlord path, similar to what a Viking would do before a Liberator. That is what is going to be the case here for Neeb. RagnaroK, though, he is getting his queens up, only going up to 4 for now, not quite as high as us Europeans love to do, but his drone count is going to be getting higher as well. He's made a lot of units this early on. 15 lings, certainly showing his intentions to cancel and slow down that 3rd base, which is going to be attempted right now. And what does Neeb have to deal with this? 2 Adepts and a Void Ray. We saw this in map 1, and it did end in a cancel.
Yeah, nice little scout there from RagnaroK. Did you see that, sending the one Ling forward just to confirm the third base before committing to all these Lings? And he sees how far along the third base is as well. And look at this, ignoring the Adept almost entirely, moving the probe out of the way and desperately going for that cancel. It's a nice pickup again for RagnaroK. Second game in a row where he's managed that cancel. No, that's cheeky. Sending the Lings back in to pick up the probe. That is super duper annoying.
He's gonna get the next one too.
Very technical StarCraft race.
Okay.
Super duper annoying, but the probe barely makes it through, and Neeb will get that third base down.
Yeah, it's a lot of Lings given up here. Resources lost tab shows 406 minerals have been have been lost so far by RagnaroK. Neeb only losing a couple of probes and that cancel, one probe and that cancel. He didn't get to send the Oracle across the map, which means in terms of vision right now, Neeb really hasn't seen so much. He is now starting to take a look here. Sees the drone count on the third, doesn't get to go into the natural or the main too committedly though. So maybe a little bit disconcerting there for Neeb, as he doesn't really know what's happening. It is a Roach Warren coming down here, I believe in the main, up behind the mineral line. A couple of Void Rays going to make their way across the map as well. And if they can catch a couple of Overlords, slow down creep, maybe get a Queen, Neeb will be pretty content going into a free base, robo-based scenario, or just mass Stargate.
Yeah, his second Stargate down, showing me he's thinking about this Void Ray play, the sort of the play that Mana showcased in the Three-Winged Angel tournament 7 games in a row against Lambo. And it's very difficult to fight against this Void Ray push, even when you see it coming, even when you know what to expect. It feels to me, the Void Ray push to me feels a lot like the early game Glaive Adept push, where, like, yes, it's kind of scary at the beginning when the Void Rays have a little bit of a power spike, but then it's scary 3 minutes into the push and 5 minutes into the push and 10, because those Void Rays, once they get Flux Veins, are so fast, Grant. They can cover a lot of area, and it makes it very difficult for Zerg to defend against it, because they lose their Overlords, they lose their Creep Tumors, they lose their map presence generally, which is one thing Zerg generally has going for him. RagnaroK is not going to wait for Neeb to spiral out of control.
This is great on Jagannatha because of these accelerator zone generators. The Queens can get across a little bit quicker than you'd think on this very long vertical map. And now it is going to be up to Neeb to defend this. He is getting a bunch of batteries. Batteries are the key. You cannot lose Void Rays early either. You cannot take a bile. If these Void Rays go down to these Queens early, this becomes very difficult to hold. We can already see that one of them, two of them, very low, one of them, they're now red health. But cannons and batteries will help. The super battery not yet used, I believe, here from Neeb. But Neeb really doesn't have much left. And the Queen count is so high.
Wow, shield battery finishing just at the very last minute there. Grant, Neeb obviously a little bit behind this push. First Void Ray does go down, but so far this is a decent hold from Neeb. He's still got a chance to push all this back, even though the shield batteries, the natural, aren't finished. A lot of the third are finishing up as well, so if he reinforces from the east side, he's going to be able to push RagnaroK into his natural and maybe wedge him into a corner, into an awkward spot here. But right now, Neeb really does need that shield battery on the low ground. RagnaroK not all in by any stretch of the imagination. He still has 40 drones back home and could pull out of this if he so chooses, but right now, he's putting on the gas. 3 Queens, more Lings,